We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Hey parents, we are at episode number 99, 1 week away from our 100th episode. That's going to be a really fun one. We'll just be celebrating all the families that have been with us and that have reaped some benefits from just joining us each week and learning from us and letting us learn from you. So thank you so much. But today, for episode number 99, we are talking tantrums. What are they? Why are they happening? And what we can do to respond to them, because we do not want to react. And that's usually what I do, is react to my kids' tantrums. So this is a great episode to give a little more insight into our little kids' world so we can better understand them. And we hope that you enjoy it. So stay tuned, and we hope to see you next week for our 100th episode celebration. And I really want to see you at our meet and greet. So please email us if you'd like the Zoom link, or if you are in our Facebook group, we will be sharing it there. And can't wait to meet you mamas, not face to face, but screen to face. And yeah, so let's get into it.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. So, can you explain to us what is a tantrum? Because I feel like if we understand what it is and where it's coming from, we'll be able to respond better as parents. Because I know when my kids get into tantrum mode, I just get very reactive very quickly.
What a great question. I would love to, because I know that when we've talked about tantrums on other episodes, I keep wanting to go off into the why it's happening and how it's happening and the brain science and all the things. And then it would just make for a really long episode. So let's just focus on that today. I love it. So first of all, like what even is a tantrum? How do we describe a tantrum? I know that all of you listeners are going, oh, let me tell you. I'll tell you right now what a tantrum is and what it looks like. So tantrums are short-lived, 2 to 5 to 10 to 15 minutes on the outside. That's a tantrum. Okay. If they're going on longer than that, we're going into meltdown territory. Right now, we're going to talk about tantrums, short-lived, immediate reaction to a clear stressor or some kind of stress that they are in. Could be they're tired, could be they're hungry, could be the immediate stressor might be that your needs for what you need them to do right now and your wants, like it's bedtime, I want you to stop playing with those toys right now and let's get into bed. And their needs and their wants are very different. That's a clear stressor. Very common in toddler years, okay? Tantrums are also explosive. Screaming, yelling, loud, insistent, whining, crying, sobbing, flailing their bodies around. You've all experienced it. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a tantrum. If you're going into what I like to call the extended play version, so it's going on for longer, or it might not be a lot longer than 10 or 15 minutes, but the intensity is different. It's like it's hard to reach them. They kind of disappear inside themselves. Afterwards, they seem like they're just exhausted, like they don't bounce back. With a tantrum, it's short, it's explosive, and then they're themselves again. In a meltdown, it takes a long time to recover. Okay, so there's a couple of different things going on, difference between tantrum and meltdown. So what we want to look at to understand it is looking at the polyvagal theory, looking at the nervous system dysregulation in the polyvagal theory of the science of that, okay? We have 3 different parts of our nervous system functioning, basic 3. The parasympathetic, that's what is commonly referred to as the rest and digest part. When we're in our parasympathetic system, we are calm. We're easygoing. Life feels good. It's when we're able to be creative. We're able to be interacting with other humans easily. Parasympathetic nervous system. Next one is the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight. You've heard that term, right?
Many times.
That's where we get the tantrum. Yeah, that's where we get tantrums. When they go into their fight or flight, their sympathetic nervous system. Below that is what's called the dorsal response. And this is where we get the freeze response. We actually are going into an instinctual survival kind of mode here. We go into a bit of a collapse. If our children go into this, and this is where we're into the meltdown territory, they're going to feel kind of far away from us. Our children in this state are overloaded. They might be exhausted. It's the end of the day. You say, okay, mama said after that game, it was going to be bedtime, and now it's bedtime. Woo! The tantrum happens, and then it devolves into a full-on meltdown, and there's no reasoning. there's nothing you can say that's going to make it better, right? You know that place, Serena?
I know that place. It's usually when my daughter is just so exhausted and I've missed, like maybe on the weekend sometimes we're hanging out, we have friends over and they're playing with the kids and I just let it go. And then she is just way
Yeah.
past exhausted. She doesn't want to hear anything. She doesn't want to see anything. It's just yelling and screaming and crying. And that's when I
Yes.
know there's nothing I can say to her. It's just me picking her up and making our way towards the bed. It's not me telling her to go to bed. It's not let's go change. It's me just doing everything and not saying anything to her because it's my fault we
Yeah.
missed that bedtime.
Yeah, thank you for taking the ownership of that when those moments happen, because we tend to, like you said earlier, get very reactive when our children go into tantrums and or meltdowns, right?
Hmm.
And in those states, when there is the stressor here is the exhaustion, right? And I'm sorry, Mama, but it is your fault. If we're going to cast blame, take it on. Like it is our responsibility, is a nicer way than saying fault. It's our responsibility to get our children into bed before the meltdown happens. And it's easy to give up on those firmer boundaries of our bath time and bedtime routines and our bedtime itself when we've got company, when there's something fun happening, when there's an barbecue going on in the backyard, whatever it is, right? It's hard to always stick with that. So I love that your response to that is picking her up and just taking her and doing all the things. That night, you might need to brush her teeth for her. That night, you might even pass over brushing teeth and just not even talk about it on occasion, right? That night, you're going to help her take her clothes off. And if she doesn't want a lot of touch at this point, you can say, would you like to take your clothes off for bed, or would you like Mama to help? And if she's just flailing around, no, 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 then you can say, okay, honey, I get that you need Mama's help tonight. And you just gently start taking her clothes off for her. Okay. I love that you go to that place, Serena. That's really wonderful.
Thank you.
So, when we're looking at anything else there, like, does that help to know that there's a stressor that happens?
Yes, it does. And you even just saying stressor brings up, I know a lot of time parents or even me, we're like, what are our kids stressed about? They have it so easy. They have the easiest life, but it's
Mm.
not. We see it as easy because we're not in that moment. But it's hard when you're tired and you don't know how to put yourself to sleep because mommy helps you every night and then you miss that.
Because you're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years old. That's why you don't know. Because guess what? You're acting your age,
Yes.
right?
So it's
Yes.
helpful to even just remind us that our kids go through a lot of stress. They are stressed out. They don't have to work all day and worry about bills, but they do have stressors.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Because I know that children have stressors, and I forget that you, Mama, you might not realize what stressor means for a 1 year old or a 2 year old,
Yeah,
right?
we're like they get to take a nap. They don't have to worry about rents being
Right.
made or
They're
anything.
not paying the bill.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so helpful for me right now. Thank you. One of the main stressors, and this is why we see tantrums during the toddler years, our toddlers are growing by leaps and bounds, or they should be growing by leaps and bounds on their road to independence. When they should be doing more for themselves and you're doing it for them, or when you're expecting them to do things that they're not quite ability wise ready to do, then we have problems in expectations, right? So the basic rule of thumb for a toddler stressor, a preschooler stressor, is when their needs or wants differ from our the parent needs or wants. Okay. This is all the way through to teenagehood, by the way. If they really, really want to go to that party and borrow the car to go drive there, and you're like, yeah, no, that's not my want, then you may not get a tantrum, but you may get some behavior that you're going to need to be there with. But we're going to keep it to toddlers in our conversation. I'm just saying it's about a need or a want being different from our own. And you might see that with your partner. When you really want to do something and he really doesn't want to do something, or vice versa, you might have some feelings come up, right?
Right.
You might not be yelling and screaming, but you might be whining a little or pouting a little or whatever, right? So it's not just our children, but our children, when they're toddlers, they don't have the brain capacity to communicate with us. They don't have the language skills, so they go into a tantrum. And remember from a previous episode, just recently, we talked about when they go into a tantrum, it's because it's a communication problem and not a behavioral problem, right? So, what I want you to do in knowing how to best either eliminate the number of tantrums that you're having or lessen the number of tantrums that you're experiencing at home, or how to deal with them when they come up, let's look there a little bit. What I want you to do first is start noticing when the tantrums happen, where they typically happen. If you're in the playground and it's time to go, classic tantrum. If you're at the grocery store because you've picked them up from daycare, but you've got to just run in and grab a few more things that you need, and they are exhausted from their day, and you're in the grocery store and there's a full-blown tantrum. Oh, the worst, right? In public. I mean, it's really the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So where are those tantrums happening? And in what kinds of situations are the tantrums happening? This is going to be a clue for you as to how to either lessen the number of them. Mama, don't stop at the store on your way home. Please try to get there when you don't have a tired child tagging along, because that's just inviting a tantrum, right? So if at all possible, you're going to avoid the situations where they're happening. If it's time to leave the playground, you want to give them some notice. When you say, okay, it's time to go, and they're out there having a gay old time and they're just having so much fun and they're just woo, and then time to go now with no warning, that's a tantrum waiting to happen. Sometimes I will hear people saying, 5 more minutes and we're leaving. When you're 2 or 3 or 4, do you know what 5 minutes is like? You know how much that time that might be? Probably not.
Yeah. I used to think that our summer vacations were a year long when I was in kindergarten.
Yes. Yes. I was just recently remembering a 3-week period of time. I lived on a beach in Greece when I was 20, and I swear it could have been 3 years. Like time just went out the window. It was just so beautiful and joyful. And, you know, my whole year in Europe, that's the key right there, those 3 weeks. So yeah, time is a strange thing. So if it's time to leave the playground when the tantrums are happening, give them some heads up in terms that the child can understand. Do you want to have 3 more pushes on the swing or 2 more slides? You know, figure out how many more things you could do in approximately the number of minutes that you'd like to have left before it's time to leave. And after you have 5 big pushes on the swing, it'll be time to jump off the swing and away we'll go. Okay. So give them some warning. Prevention of tantrums is going to be your friend. And what do we call that? Pre-paving. Pre-paving. What's going to happen next? Today, we're going to go to the playground. And I know how much you love the playground. And when we get there, you can run free. You can climb on the climber. You can slide down the slide. You can swing on the swing. Yes, I'll push you. It's going to be so much fun. And when mama says 5 more pushes on the swing or 3 times down the slide, which do you prefer? You get to choose. And after that, it's going to be time to get packed up in the car and go. Or maybe there's time for a juice box before we get in the car. Or maybe there's a quick snack that's, not something that they can eat for an hour, but something that they're going to want to munch down. Maybe it's a granola bar or something. And so there's a transition there that you offer, right? So there's different ways that you can prevent tantrums. We want to always, as often as possible, take care of the basics. So we talked about the exhaustion piece. If a child is exhausted and it's bedtime and you're getting the tantrums, then maybe that bedtime needs to move earlier, or maybe there needs to be less stimulation before bedtime. We need to look at the bigger picture of what's happening.
That really takes
Always.
studying your kid. It takes really paying attention and being there with your kid and not being wrapped
Yes.
up. Sometimes I get caught up in just cleaning up and tidying up the house, and I'm just
Mm.
completely out of touch with where my kids are at. And
Yes. Observing our children, watching, being aware. It's like you have to put your mama antennas out as far as they can reach when you're doing the cleaning, and you're going to be going boom, 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 trying to get it done because they're happy playing until they're not.
yeah, that's me. I get so caught up and oh,
Yeah.
she's playing. Okay, let me sweep the floor, and then I have to mop the floor, and then I go into the bathroom and oh, I need to just clean the bathroom real quick, and then by the time I'm done, they're hangry because they're hungry, angry,
Yes.
and then tired, and it's a disaster.
Yes. So there's so much in what you just said. One of them is the hangry piece, the hungry. I want you to always be feeding your children before they get the hungry tantrum going on. And that will take observation, and it will take an awareness and really getting to know your child, like you said, right? So I classically cut up a fruit plate or a vegetable plate or some kind of finger food. And if the kids are playing happily, I will put it down in their midst so that they can just have a snack. I don't ask, are you hungry? Because if they're playing intently, they might not hear you. They might not even want to respond. You're going to pull them out of the space that they're in. They're playing beautifully. Just deliver a plate of food
I love that one.
before. Mm,
I love that
so
one
good.
because I feel when if somebody puts a plate of food out for me without me being hungry, that's love. That's my love language. So
Without you getting, you're hungry, but you haven't got to the place of being hungry where you're frustrated or tired or cranky, right?
yeah, yeah.
But you're hungry and somebody comes along and gives you a plate of food. Oh, like, doesn't that just feel so nurturing, right?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, and always bring water when you go to the playground, when you go for your walks. Bring a little water bottle somewhere, have a little backpack, whatever it is. Bring water, bring snacks. Um, okay. Mostly I wanted to really just talk about what tantrums are, how to avoid them more often. Another one is really to choose your battles, like we said last week. Is this thing that you're going to put your foot down about something that's really important, right? Does it really matter? Like you said long time ago in an episode, Serena, your daughter wanted to take her Play-Doh on her walk. She was enamored and in love with her Play-Doh. And you're like, no, Play-Doh doesn't come on a walk. And then we had a conversation in an episode and you were like, oh, Well, who cares if Play-Doh comes on a walk, right?
Yeah.
So really decide whether it really matters. And also, you, mama, you, dad, you need to move yourself out of your automatic no responses, like the Play-Doh on the walk. We're so quick to say, no, Play-Doh doesn't come on a walk. No, you don't need to bring that toy right now. But why? What is behind our automatic no? Is it because we're tired and hungry, maybe? Is it because somebody just talked to us in a way we didn't want? Our mother in law said something to us and it pissed us off. And you are just like, no, you don't need to bring that toy. Come on, just get your boots on, right? We go to that place. That's inviting a tantrum.
Or it's that we've been put in a box and our kids aren't in that box yet. You've said this before. We've been put in the box. So I always think of things that I do, which is me having been put in that box and how my daughter is free from that. And I want to keep her out of that box.
Okay. Tell our new listeners a little more about that box.
The box is, I guess it's just things that, like our society, things that are like you having your kids having to be at a restaurant and sit down at the table the whole time. Like that's not how kids work. That's how we think it
Right.
is, but that's our kids don't want to sit down at a restaurant when maybe there's music playing or they see other kids and they've been sitting already waiting for the appetizers and then the dinner and now it's just too long and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of my other notes was bringing snacks, bringing drinks, and bringing an activity that your child can do if you're in that kind of a situation. So bringing some restaurants will provide colors and paper, crayons and paper for children. If there are other children, then they're not going to be able to run around in a restaurant. That's not what we're suggesting. But you can get up and go walk with them, or you can hold them on your lap and color with them. There are things that we can do that, yes, are outside the box. It's outside the box to bring Play-Doh on a walk. Play-Doh
yes.
isn't a toy that wants to come on a walk. Yes. And if a toddler wants to bring Play-Doh on a walk, well, hey, you love your Play-Doh. You want it to come on the walk. How cool is that?
Or
Yeah,
even
that's wonderful.
mixing the Play-Doh colors. That used to drive me insane. But that's how she wants to play, and that's her being outside of the box. So mix the colors, learn,
Nice.
do what you want to do. It's not hurting
Recently in
anybody.
Yes, you might have to buy new Play-Doh when they get tired of it being gray. Or I would rather you make new Play-Doh and she gets to choose the colors she wants to make because it's super easy to make Play-Doh. And of course, Amma is always going to say, if you're dealing with a lot of tantrums, I want you to look at how much screen time your children are getting and cut that down. And I want you to look at how much outside time your children are getting and boost that up.
That's a big one.
Okay.
That's a big one. Thank you for bringing that one in because my daughter is a different person after she's been watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
She is so
They
different.
all are. They
Mm-hmm.
all are. Yes. And being able to hold space for your child when they have a tantrum and take care of your ability to deal with your own gut reaction, like you were saying at the beginning, Serena, like it's so reactionary, especially if you're out in public. You've got to pull yourself together, which means take those breaths, put a hand, literally put a hand on your heart, put a hand on your belly, feel your breath coming in and out of your body, calm yourself because they are dysregulated and our toddlers physically need us to regulate, to co regulate with them. When our bodies are regulated, they co regulate to ours. They regulate to our breath. They regulate to our heartbeat. It's amazing. They regulate to our facial expressions. Calm yourself and let them know that you are okay with their big feelings and that big feelings are okay. I don't want you to talk at them a whole lot. I've said that before, but you can say, I get that you're really, really upset that we have to leave the playground right now. I can see how hard this is for you. And it's time to go. And I did give you those 5 more big pushes on the swing. And now it's time to go. And I love you so much. And I'm going to carry you to the car and we're going to get buckled in and go home now because that's what has to happen next. And it's okay how you're feeling. I love you. So just reaffirming that those big feelings are okay and it's safe to have them with you. Okay. I hope that helps to know a little bit more about what's going on with the nervous system and why it's important that we prevent the tantrums as much as possible and that we allow the big feelings to happen. When you allow the tantrum to happen and you acknowledge it, wow, there's some big feelings about this right now, and it's time to go. Chances are it won't devolve into a full-on meltdown. Okay? So I hope that helps. Let us know. We would love to hear from you about how tantrums are going in your world or anything else you'd like to write to us about. We love you.
All right. So to give you my gems before you leave, number 1 is that our kids do go through stress. When their needs differ from our needs or wants as parents, they're going to feel stressed. And it's different from our stress, but it's a good reminder that our kids go through stress. And even this week, it was so funny because we recorded this before I went away and then I was away. And while I was away, I heard maybe like 4 times in 1 week, parents saying to their kids as they're crying, "Oh, your life is so hard. It's so stressful." And I've done it too because I'm like, you have it so easy. What are you stressed about? And it's just a great reminder, or even if it's not a reminder, to understand that our kids do go through stress. Number 2 is that a tantrum is a communication problem and not a behavioral problem. Many times when my kids are going through tantrums, I feel like they just want to attack me and make me suffer. But understanding that it is a communication problem will help me better respond rather than react, because I think they just have a behavioral problem. So a reminder that a tantrum is a communication problem. So what are they trying to communicate with me when they are acting like this? And number 3 is to look at how much screen time our kids are getting. And this is hard. We think we're getting a break when we hand them the screen, but I'll tell you, my daughter is a different person after she's off the screen. She really is. So I might think I'm getting a break, but then the way she reacts to things after, it's not easy. And she is a much better person, a much happier person when she's just spending more time outside. And it's starting to get chilly, so I know it's going to be hard, but just getting out for a walk together, throwing them in the carriage and going for a stroll, or just trying to eat a snack outside or do one activity outside together. And it doesn't have to be us throwing a ball or playing around. It could just be outdoors, because it's such an experience being outdoors with the wind and the birds. It's really calming, and it's a good reminder to look at your child's screen time. All right, so I'm going to end it there. But before we go, since next week is our 100th episode, I'm going to ask you to please gift us a review. That would mean the world to us. It would help us reach more parents, and you just letting us know what you like about the show or one thing that you've learned and typing it in on Apple Podcasts really does help. So if you are with us, and I know many of you are because I see, and you're all around the world. It's amazing. It's beautiful. If you enjoy this, please, please, please take 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, go into Apple Podcasts and just write us a review. Hopefully a nice one, but we would really appreciate hearing from you. So thank you so much, parents, for being here with us. We're so excited for next week to celebrate our 100th episode with you, and we hope to see you at our Zoom meet and greet on Monday the 16th. Take care.